Despite providing faith and teachings to many people across generations, the Bible is often considered difficult to view as a scientific fact due to its supernatural elements. However, recent archaeological discoveries and scientific research suggest that some events in the Bible may have actually occurred. Let's explore how the Bible and science intersect, complementing and proving each other, focusing on 7 events from the Bible. 1. The Tower of Babel and human ambition. According to Genesis 11, humanity, speaking one language, gathered in the plain of Babylon and attempted to build a tower reaching the heavens. God saw their pride and confused their language, causing them to misunderstand each other. Consequently, people scattered across the earth, leaving the tower unfinished, known as the Tower of Babel. This story contains warnings about human pride and the origins of diverse languages. The Tower of Babel was once thought to be a figment of imagination, but recent archaeological discoveries suggest its existence. Linguistically, the story is fascinating as the ancestor of languages spanning from Europe to India originated in that region, which has been scientifically and linguistically proven multiple times. This aligns with the story's depiction of the confusion and spread of languages. Etemenenki, one of the largest ziggurats in ancient Babylon, means house of the foundation of heaven and earth. This ziggurat was 90 meters tall and had 7 layers, resembling the biblical description of the Tower of Babel. In 2017, Babylonian expert Andrew from the University of London analyzed a baked clay tablet discovered a century ago in Babylon. This tablet included depictions of the Etemenenki ziggurat and King Nebuchadnezzar, identifying the structure as the Temple Tower of Babel. The tablet Andrew analyzed recorded that Nebuchadnezzar replaced stones with bricks and mortar with bitumen to build a tower reaching the heavens. This bears remarkable resemblance to the biblical story of the Tower of Babel. 2. David's deadly slingshot against Goliath. According to the Bible, David defeated Goliath with faith, courage, and skill. In 1 Samuel 17, Goliath is described as a giant about 3 meters tall, fully armored, mocking the Israelite army. David, a young shepherd, faced him without armor, only armed with a staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones. With faith in God, David confronted Goliath, swiftly slinging a stone that struck Goliath's forehead, causing him to fall. David's victory came from his courage and faith despite the stark size difference. The sling David used was a real weapon in ancient times, primarily used by shepherds for protection and in ancient warfare for long-range attacks. The power of the sling is incredible, capable of launching stones at bullet-like speeds, causing severe injuries or death upon impact. David's stone hitting Goliath's forehead would have rendered him incapacitated instantly. The force from the sling could break bones and cause internal injuries. The sling continues to be used in some regions today. 3. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis 19 describes the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah due to their sins. God decided to destroy these cities but sent 2 angels to rescue Lot and his family. The angels warned them to flee to the mountains. Lot's wife looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. God rained sulfur and fire, completely destroying the cities and leaving the land desolate. Ancient texts and the Bible suggest Sodom and Gomorrah were located near the southern part of the Dead Sea. Archaeological excavations in this region support the possible existence of these cities. Early 20th century geologists suggested that an earthquake could have caused the city's destruction. Positioned on tectonic boundaries, a strong earthquake could release underground natural gas, igniting and setting the cities ablaze. However, this lacked concrete geological evidence. Other theories include volcanic eruption or a meteor impact, as suggested by an ancient Assyrian clay tablet recording an asteroid's path, potentially linked to the city's destruction. More recently, natural gas release and subsequent fire have been strongly supported by archaeological evidence. Burnt structures and ash layers found in excavations in the southern Dead Sea area suggest massive fires. Geologist Frederick Clapp proposed that bitumen release from an earthquake ignited, destroying the cities. This theory, supported by geological and archaeological findings, remains the most plausible. 4. The Great Flood and Noah's Ark. The story of Noah's flood in Genesis describes God's decision to cleanse the world of human wickedness with a flood, sparing only Noah, his family, and pairs of all animals in an ark. For 40 days, rain covered the earth, and the ark rested on Mount Ararat as the waters receded. Noah and his family began anew, with God promising never to flood the earth again, symbolized by a rainbow. Once considered myth, scientific research has started supporting the flood's possibility. In 2000, Columbia University geologists Walter Pittman and William Ryan analyzed core samples from the Black Sea, revealing that it was once a freshwater lake. They theorized that rising sea levels from melting glaciers at the end of the last ice age caused a massive flood through the Bosporus, inundating the Black Sea region. Marine archaeologist Robert Ballard's explorations found ancient structures beneath the Black Sea, suggesting a significant flood. Radiocarbon dating of freshwater and saltwater mollusks indicated a sudden flood event, supporting the theory of a massive regional flood. These findings suggest the story of Noah's flood might be based on a real, catastrophic regional event rather than a global one. However, similar flood stories across different cultures indicate a broader impact. 5. Plagues of Egypt from 3,000 years ago. The story of the plagues in Exodus 7-11 describes 10 plagues that God inflicted on Egypt through Moses and Aaron to liberate the Israelites. The plagues were as follows. First, the Nile River turned to blood, killing fish and polluting the water. Second, frogs covered Egypt. Third, dust turned into gnats, tormenting people and animals. Fourth, flies swarmed Egypt. Fifth, livestock were struck with a disease and died. Sixth, boils afflicted people and animals. Seventh, hail struck people, livestock, and plants. Eighth, locusts devoured crops. Ninth, darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. Lastly, the 10th plague caused the death of every firstborn son in Egypt. As a result, Pharaoh released the Israelites. For years, scholars considered the plagues of Exodus as fictional stories meant to showcase the power of the Israelites' God. However, recent studies suggest that these plagues might have actually occurred. In 2010, researchers studied stalagmites in Egyptian caves and discovered evidence of rapid climate change during the reign of Pharaoh Ramses II about 3,000 years ago. This change caused a significant rise in temperatures and severe drought across Egypt, leading to the Nile drying up and becoming a slow-moving muddy waterway. The first plague, where the Nile turned to blood, can be explained by the growth of toxic freshwater algae called Oscillatoria rubescens, which flourished due to rising temperatures and the drying river. This algae would have given the water a blood-red appearance and released toxins killing aquatic life. The second plague, frogs leaving the contaminated water for dry land, resulted in them covering the land. In the third plague, the death of frogs would have created conditions for insects like gnats to thrive. The fourth plague, flies, would have been attracted by the dead frogs, leading to an infestation. The fifth plague, diseases among livestock, could have been caused by the spread of pathogens from gnats and flies, possibly leading to diseases like African horse sickness or bluetongue. In the sixth plague, the proliferation of insects might have spread diseases causing boils in humans and animals. The seventh plague, severe hail, could have resulted from dramatic climate changes. Additionally, volcanic ash fallout from the Santorini eruption could explain this phenomenon. The eighth plague, locusts, would have thrived after hail destroyed crops, leading to a locust infestation. The ninth plague, darkness, could have been caused by volcanic ash from the Santorini eruption blocking sunlight for days. The 10th plague might be explained by toxic algae contaminating the Nile and releasing mycotoxins into the grain supply. Firstborn sons, who traditionally ate first, would have consumed the contaminated grain and died. These scientific discoveries suggest the 10 plagues of Exodus could have actually occurred, showing how the Bible and science can complement each other. 6. The miracle of the parting of the Red Sea. Exodus 14 describes the Israelites' escape from Egypt. As they reach the Red Sea, they find themselves trapped between the sea and the pursuing Egyptian army. the Israelites cry out to Moses for help. Moses prays to God, and God instructs him to stretch out his staff over the sea. When Moses does so, the sea parts, creating walls of water on both sides, allowing the Israelites to cross on dry ground. When the Egyptian army follows, the waters return, drowning them. This miraculous event ensured the Israelites' safe escape with God's intervention. For a long time, this dramatic event was considered impossible. However, in 2010, Carl Drews from the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Colorado used computer modeling to show that a phenomenon called wind-set-dome could explain the event. Wind-set-dome occurs when strong winds push water in a lake or sea to one side, exposing dry land. Drews studied the possibility of this occurring in ancient Egypt. His research combined ancient geography and climate conditions. He found that the event could have happened not at the Red Sea but at a body of water known today as the Lake of Tanis. Using computer simulations, Drews found that a strong east wind blowing at 63 miles per hour for several hours could have pushed the waters of Lake Tanis westward, exposing a dry path for the Israelites to cross. When the wind stopped, the waters would return, covering the pursuing Egyptian army. The mistranslation of Red Sea also plays a significant role. The Hebrew term Yam Suf actually means Sea of Reeds. When the Bible was translated into Greek in the 3rd century BC, Sea of Reeds was mistakenly translated as Red Sea, and this error persisted in subsequent translations. Drews discovered that around 1250 BC, the Lake of Tanis was a shallow lagoon suitable for papyrus reeds. Strong winds from the east could have created dry land conditions, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. This finding suggests that the biblical story may be based on a natural phenomenon. This research shows that the parting of the sea, once considered a myth, could be explained by natural causes. It demonstrates how the Bible and science can work together to reveal the truth. Drews' research opens up possibilities for understanding biblical events from a scientific perspective, suggesting that the miracles experienced by the Israelites might have indeed occurred. 7. The stopping of the sun and moon. In Joshua 10, during a battle against the Amorite kings of Canaan, Joshua prays to God to stop the sun and moon. God answers his prayer, causing the sun to stand still and the moon to stop for about a day, allowing the Israelites to achieve victory. This miraculous event is recorded as one of God's interventions for Israel. The story of Joshua praying for the sun and moon to stop has long been considered mythical. However, in 2017, physicist Colin Humphreys and astrophysicist Graham Waddington proposed that this event could have actually happened. They suggested it might be related to an eclipse. Using computer simulations, they explored the possibility of an eclipse during Joshua's time. They focused on an annular eclipse, where the moon covers the sun's center, leaving a ring-like appearance, rather than a total solar eclipse. They simulated all possible eclipses between 1500 BC and 1050 BC in that region, and discovered that an annular eclipse occurred on October 30, 1207 BC. This eclipse provided a critical clue that matched the biblical event. During an annular eclipse, temporary darkness could occur, allowing Joshua and his army more time to fight. Humphreys and Waddington compared the biblical record with other ancient Near Eastern records, and found similar mentions of unusual celestial events, suggesting that the biblical account might reflect an actual natural occurrence. Additionally, the biblical language provides clues. The Hebrew word translated as stand still can also mean to stop working, or to be delayed. This implies that the sun and moon might not have literally stopped, but time was perceived as delayed due to the eclipse. These scientific discoveries and interpretations suggest that Joshua's miracle could be related to a natural event. This indicates that biblical events might correspond to real natural phenomena. Humphreys and Waddington's research exemplifies how the Bible and science can complement each other, helping us understand past events more deeply. This implies that biblical miracles might be natural events that were perceived as divine interventions. Biblical events have long remained in the realm of faith, but modern science increasingly uncovers the possibility that these stories could have actually happened. The events listed above show that the Bible contains more than myth and legend, but historical facts. Science and faith are not mutually exclusive. Instead, they can complement each other, offering a deeper understanding of human history. Through this video, we demonstrate that the events in the Bible could be based on scientific facts, and we look forward to further exploration in this field.